My ex told everyone I was a gold digger. I'm a millionaire. Hi, I'm Claire. I'm 29 years old. And 3 months ago, my ex-fiancé stood in front of 200 people at his cousin's wedding and called me a gold digger. He didn't whisper it. He didn't hint at it. He said it into a microphone. He said I'd used him for his money. He said I never had a real job. He said I was nothing without him. Here's the part that made the room go silent. I own the company he works for. I just hadn't told him yet. Stay with me, because what happened next isn't just revenge. It's the most satisfying 6 months of my entire life. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why calm, quiet women are the most dangerous people in any room. Let's go back to the beginning. 2 years ago, I was Claire. Just Claire. I wore thrifted blazers to job interviews. I split grocery bills down to the penny. I drove a car with 210,000 miles on it, and a check engine light I'd learned to ignore. Nobody looking at me would have guessed what I actually had. Because 5 years before that, I'd built something. A small logistics software company. Just me, a laptop, and a problem I was obsessed with solving. It grew slowly. Then it grew fast. Then 11 months before I met the man who would become my fiancé, I sold 70% of it in a deal that made me, on paper, a millionaire many times over. But I didn't change anything about how I lived. I kept the old car. I kept the thrifted blazers. I kept quiet. So when I met Daniel at a mutual friend's barbecue, I didn't mention the sale. I didn't mention the company. I told him I did consulting work in tech. That was true. It just wasn't the whole truth. Daniel was charming, confident, the kind of man who filled a room the second he walked into it. He worked in operations at a mid-sized logistics firm. He talked about his career like it was a ladder he was climbing rung by rung, and he made it very clear, early and often, that he intended to be the primary earner in any relationship he was in. I know how that sounds now. We dated for 8 months before he proposed. It was a nice proposal. Rooftop restaurant, string lights, his college friends secretly filming from a nearby table. I said yes. I meant it. But here's your first retention marker, because I need you to remember this moment for later. 2 weeks after the engagement, Daniel's company announced a merger. They were being acquired by a company he'd never heard of. A company with almost no public footprint. A company that, according to the press release, was led by a private investment group focused on logistics technology. Because I already knew who was acquiring his company, me, I'm going to pause here and ask you something. Have you ever known a secret so big that keeping your face still felt like a physical effort? That was me every single night, for the next 4 months. Let's talk about the betrayal, because this is where it gets ugly. As the wedding planning ramped up, Daniel started changing. Small things at first. He'd correct me in front of his friends. He'd make jokes about how I didn't really work the way he did. He'd introduce me at parties as my fiancé. She does something with computers, and laugh like it was a punchline. I let it go. I told myself it was stress. Merger stress, wedding stress, life stress. Then came the money conversations. He wanted a prenup. Not for him. For me, he said. To protect you, since you don't really have anything to protect. He said it with a straight face. He genuinely believed it. I signed it. Without a single objection. You have no idea how much I wanted to laugh. That executive team included me. Not visibly. Not with my name on a badge. I sat in on evaluations through a holding company, under my company's legal name, not my own. Nobody in that building had any idea the quiet woman reviewing performance reports was about to marry one of their employees. What I found in those reports changed everything. Daniel wasn't just an average employee. He was actively taking credit for other people's work. There were emails, Slack messages, a junior analyst named Priya who had built an entire process improvement that Daniel had presented to leadership as his own idea, twice, in 2 different quarterly meetings. I sat with that information for 3 days before I said anything to anyone. Here's your second retention marker. Because this is where the story turns. The wedding rehearsal dinner was at his cousin's venue, a beautiful old barn-turned-event space. 200 guests. String lights again, because apparently that was Daniel's whole aesthetic. His father gave a toast. My mother gave a toast. Everything was warm and normal and fine. Then Daniel stood up with a glass of champagne in his hand. And he wasn't finished. He said he wanted to say something about me. Something honest, he called it. Something his friends had apparently been telling him to say for weeks. He said that when he met me, I had nothing. No real career. No direction. He said he'd been the one who elevated me. He said, and I am quoting this exactly, because I will never forget it as long as I live. I just want everyone here to know, I didn't marry her for her money, because she doesn't have any. I'm the one who's been carrying this relationship. Somebody laughed. A nervous laugh, the kind people do when they're not sure if something is a joke. He wasn't joking. He kept going. He said his friends had warned him I might be after his upcoming promotion, that I'd timed the engagement around his career trajectory. He called me, and again, I'm quoting him exactly, a gold digger in a thrift store blazer. 200 people. Silent. Looking at me. I want you to know what that silence felt like. It wasn't humiliation. It was clarity. Because in that exact moment, I understood something I'd suspected for months, but hadn't let myself fully believe. Daniel didn't love me. Daniel loved the story where he was the hero, and I was the woman lucky enough to be chosen by him. I stood up. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I said, Daniel, can I say something? He smiled. He thought I was about to defend myself. He thought I was about to grovel a little, in front of everyone, and make him feel like the man he desperately wanted to be. Instead, I said this. You're right that I don't need your money. I own the company that just bought yours. Silence again. A different kind this time. I kept going, calm the whole time. The executive team that's been reviewing your department for the last 3 weeks? I sat in on those meetings. I've seen the emails where you took credit for Priya's work. Twice. I've seen the performance reports. I know exactly what happens to your position after this merger finalizes. Daniel's face went through about 4 different colors. He tried to laugh it off. He said I was lying, making things up to embarrass him. He turned to his friends for backup and found none, because his friends were staring at me with the exact expression you're probably making right now. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a drink. I didn't need to. I said, I'll have my lawyer send over the details of your position by Monday. Congratulations on the wedding you almost had. And I left. Here's your next retention marker, because I know some of you are wondering if I'm exaggerating for effect. I'm not. I have never in my life felt as steady as I did walking out of that barn in my thrift store blazer. Now let's talk about what happened after. Because the rehearsal dinner wasn't the revenge. It was just the moment the truth came out. The real revenge was quieter, slower, and far more satisfying. I didn't fire Daniel out of spite. I want to be honest about that because spite would have been easy, and it also would have made me exactly the villain he'd already decided I was. Instead, I let the process play out the way it was always going to play out. The independent review of his department continued on schedule. Priya's work was recognized properly, formally, in writing, with her name on the process she'd actually built. She got promoted into the role Daniel had been angling for. Daniel's role was evaluated on its actual merits. Not mine. Not personal. The executive team, the real one, the one that didn't know or care about my personal life, found what they found. Redundant position. Underperformance relative to peer roles. A pattern of credit-taking that had already generated 2 internal complaints before I ever sat in that room. He was let go 6 weeks later. Standard severance. Nothing dramatic. Nothing I orchestrated. Just consequences, arriving on schedule, the way they usually do when nobody's there to catch them anymore. The wedding obviously never happened. His family tried to reach out to me a few times. His mother sent a message asking if there was a misunderstanding that could be cleared up. I didn't respond. Some misunderstandings don't need clearing up. They need distance. Here's the part one actually want you to sit with, because this is the moral of the story, and I don't want you to miss it in the noise. I spent 2 years hiding who I was because I wanted to be loved for the right reasons. And in the end, that instinct is exactly what protected me. If Daniel had known from day one what I was worth, I never would have found out what he actually thought of me. I would have married a man who believed, deep down, that I was lucky to have him. I would have spent the rest of my life shrinking myself to fit his idea of who I should be. Instead, I found out the truth at a rehearsal dinner instead of 5 years into a marriage. That's not a tragedy. That's a mercy. People love to say that quiet women have nothing to prove. I used to believe that too. But I think it's more accurate to say this. Quiet women have already proven everything. They just don't need you to know about it until the moment you force their hand. Daniel called me a gold digger because he needed a story where my success made sense as an accident, as luck, as something borrowed from him instead of built by me. That's what insecure people do. They can't stand next to a successful woman and just be proud of her. They have to shrink her down to something they can explain away. Don't let anyone shrink you down to something they can explain away. If somebody in your life has ever tried to make your success sound like an accident, like luck, like something you don't actually deserve, I want you to type "not an accident" in the comments right now. I read every single one. And if this story meant something to you, hit subscribe because I've got more stories exactly like this one coming every single week. Stories about women who stayed quiet until the exact right moment. Stories about karma that doesn't need to be forced because it always arrives on schedule. I'm Claire. I built something real. Nobody handed it to me, and nobody got to take credit for it. Not even the man who put a ring on my finger and thought he already knew my whole story. He didn't know the ending. But now you do. And here's the last thing I'll leave you with, because I think about it more than almost anything else from that whole chapter of my life. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful one. Daniel needed 200 witnesses and a microphone to feel like he mattered. I needed a laptop, 5 years, and the patience to let people show me exactly who they were before I ever had to raise my voice. If you're sitting there right now, feeling small, feeling underestimated, feeling like the people closest to you don't actually see what you're capable of, I want you to remember this story the next time someone tries to make you feel like you're lucky to be there. You're not lucky. You're just quiet about it. For now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.